A quick impression of me watching True Detective last night.
I pay for fucking avocado trees. You need security?
It's contaminated the water table to such a degree the farmland here is useless.
What? What? No, that's about right. What?
Oh, shit!
No. What the? This episode is almost singularly about what happened in that last scene, so let's get through all this other stuff real fast. Frank continues his desperate process of shakedowns, while dishing out words and phrases that haven't been heard since the Lindbergh baby.
The present from the stork. You know the word, Lush?
I got the clip joint, you got the Cadillac, let's make some cabbage. That sounds like the old Chicago typewriter. Somebody call the meat wagon.
Frank's whole deal is of little interest to me, but I thought I'd point out a few good things, purely in the interest of picking out good things, since I talk a lot about bad things. One, even though he's emotionally distant, Frank seems to really love his wife, which shouldn't exactly be noteworthy, but characters empathizing with one another on the show is something that we don't see very often. Two, I'm starting to really get into this Frank and Ray bromance, even when it's soundtracked by Bizarro Vonda Shepard.
You were there to see me begging.
3. The paper mache metaphor was a little hacky to me at first, but I like that it continues to haunt him, and the imagery is growing on me. Otherwise, Frank is still kind of uninteresting and repetitive. Paul, on the other hand, is also kind of boring. He's dealing with a redefining of himself, which should be really interesting, but somehow it's not. Somehow the show doesn't pay nearly as much dramatic attention to it as it does to Frank saying weird stuff to his underlings. For example, Paul's proposal to Emily is less poignant and more sad. And yeah, even though we know that it's doomed because either he's gay or he's just like a blank human, with this kind of decision you should be reflecting on the tragedy of it all. But at the end of the scene, you're really just kind of thinking to yourself, oh, well, that's a shame. And I'm pretty sure it boils down to how these characters have created no empathy with the audience. So I guess we're just gonna watch this marriage happen? Or just watch it self-destruct and explode and not care about the aftermath. Speaking of self-destructive, Ray gave his son his dad's badge and he drove a lot. Since he decided to stop drinking hard liquor, he's become more of a caring person. He's more respectful to Ani. He is picking up Paul from off the side of the street. He has that moment with his son where he's just kind of saying goodbye and not fighting the custody battle. It's almost like Ray is a multi-layered, complicated figure and not just a self-destructive archetype. And the world continues to hate Ani, who I just realized in this episode is actually called Ani. More like Ani and not Annie. One thing I thought about while watching this episode was how last season had such a rural noir feel. Rural noir is fairly easily achieved in the backcountry of Louisiana, but not necessarily in a big city like Los Angeles. The show tries to use the sprawling expanse between population densities to create that open space nightmare feeling, but has a lot of trouble landing it. Train yards and metro expansion construction sites are still a little too urban for the mood they're trying to create. And California isn't the sum of its big cities. What I'm trying to say is that the mood that they're trying to create might have been better off in some place like Salinas or Paso Robles instead of a big city like Los Angeles. But you know what would be hard to do in a rural setting? A police shootout where they mow down a bunch of innocent victims! Smack dab in the middle of season 2, we have a career-defining moment for all of our reluctant protagonists. Probably life-defining too, I would imagine. Not everyone gets to check off the Survivor Massacre item off their bucket list. But basically they should all be fired for turning what was a moderately tense situation into one where everyone dies. We'll just try to ignore the fact that these kinds of protests would probably have police patrolling and that they would know of any other police activity that's in the area. And who would have evacuated everyone once an explosion went off a few blocks away? It was a gruesome scene, even by television's violent standards. I think Game of Thrones even winced a bit. But this scene is in stark contrast to the mundanity that is the rest of the season. For 4 episodes, we've been watching unempathetic characters investigate a really boring land deal / murder that quickly escalated into an event that's probably the worst thing to happen in the Los Angeles area police department in a long time. And that's saying something. But to the police's credit, showering the street with bullets and killing every uniform on site seems like a disproportionate response to the police just coming to find a person of interest. The fact that they're on the offensive means that the corrupt part of this investigation probably walked Ani into something, and maybe even tipped them off that the police were coming.
Let's be careful out there.
Which continues in that same vein that everyone hates Ani. The Massacre gave us a gas-worthy moment in a season that's been mostly snore-worthy. But there's still a clumsiness about the show that we might have overlooked last season with Russ Cole and Marty Hart. I'm looking forward to the fallout from the bungled manhunt, which I guess was a productive manhunt since all the humans were hunted down. And I'm hoping that fallout will finally kickstart this season that we're almost halfway through. Thanks for watching. Everyone, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe and to like and to do all the things like comments and stuff. Let's talk about the show. Let's talk about the episode. What do you guys think so far? And yeah, don't forget to do all those things. I'm trying not to feel gross about saying that stuff.